Imagine a business model that on paper looks absolutely bulletproof. You're producing high-quality educational content. You have, say, 500,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
You're generating reliable views, and the platform is paying you $30,000 a month in ad revenue. The metrics are all green, the audience is happy,
Those advertisers are paying, everything works.
and then literally overnight, the revenue drops to zero.
It wasn't a gradual decline. It wasn't a strike system or a warning. It was a switch being flipped.
Exactly. And the most terrifying part, the channel wasn't deleted. It's still there. The videos are still online, but the business model behind them is just gone, eviscerated.
And this is happening right now.
Yeah.
At a staggering scale.
Yes. The data we're looking at shows YouTube is executing a massive enforcement initiative. We're talking 4.7 billion lifetime views erased, 35 million subscribers affected.
And the estimated annual revenue lost is somewhere around $10 million.
And if you look closely, this isn't the standard cleanup of spam or graphic content. This is something new.
It's a targeted purge of production patterns.
That is the key phrase right there. Production patterns. Because the immediate assumption everyone makes is, oh, YouTube is banning AI.
But that's not what the sources are saying at all. In fact, they've been very specific.
Right. They aren't banning artificial intelligence. They're declaring war on something much more specific, something they call interchangeability.
And that is such a critical distinction. If you misunderstand this, you will think you are safe when you are absolutely not. The platform is shifting its entire incentive structure away from engagement, which was the old God-to distinction.
They're solving a problem that most creators didn't even realize they were creating. The problem of what the source calls farm-raised content.
Exactly. So let's unpack this. We have two case studies from the source material that really draw this invisible line perfectly.
Because both of these channels were successful and both were demonetized for reasons that, on the surface, seem totally contradictory.
Let's start with Subject A. We'll call it the Bible channel.
Okay, Subject A. This is a channel with 500,000 subscribers. Revenue was hitting that $30,000 a month mark purely from AdSense.
And the content itself was narrative-driven Bible stories. It's important to stress the quality here.
Yes, the source describes it as well-structured, high production value, clear user value. This wasn't gibberish or, slop.
No, absolutely not. And that's why this is so alarming for operators. The channel used a faceless AI-assisted workflow. But the trigger for demonetization wasn't that the content was wrong. It was flagged for inauthentic and mass-produced content.
Inauthentic and mass-produced. So the revenue goes to zero, the channel stays online. Now let's compare that to Subject B, the exam prep channel.
This one is even more fascinating from a pure utility perspective. This channel was earning about $7,500 a month helping people pass real estate exams.
So highly educational, very specific, accurate material.
Yes, if you watch these videos, you learn what you need to know to pass a professional license exam. The information is correct.
And yet it still got hit. Why?
The workflow. The source notes this channel had heavy automation in the pipeline. AI-generated scripts. AI voiceovers. So despite the factual accuracy, the pattern of how it was made is what triggered the suppression systems.
So the detection systems aren't watching the video to learn about real estate law?
No, they're scanning the metadata. They're looking at the structural fingerprint to see if a human was actually involved in the craft.
But hold on, let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I'm a student trying to pass an exam, I don't really care if a robot wrote the script. I just want the right answer. Is YouTube shooting itself in the foot by removing accurate information?
That's the logical consumer argument, but you're looking at it from the user side. You have to look at it from the advertiser side.
Okay, so this is about ad spend.
It's 100% an ad spend issue. A brand like Coca-Cola does not want to run its premium Super Bowl ad next to a robot voice reading a Wikipedia article. It cheapens their brand.
So YouTube isn't just optimizing for user utility, it's optimizing for inventory quality.
That's the term, inventory quality. So this brings us to the idea of fingerprinting. You said the system isn't watching like a human. How is an algorithm detecting a production pattern?
Right, what's it actually looking for?
Think of it like this. It's reading the nutritional label on the file, not doing a taste test. YouTube's AI isn't judging if your real estate advice is legally sound.
It's just looking at the ingredients.
Exactly. It sees the pacing of the cuts. It analyzes the perplexity of the script, which is a fancy term for how predictable the next word is.
Okay, break that down for us. Perplexity.
In the world of large language models, perplexity is a measure of how surprising a text is. If I say, the cat sat on the library, The most likely next word is Matt.
That's low perplexity.
But humans are high perplexity.
We are. We speak in jagged, weird ways. We interrupt ourselves. We use slang. We go on tangents.
They're messy.
And AI scripts are smooth. They are statistically probable. So when you combine a statistically probable script with a statistically consistent voiceover and statistically average stock footage, you get a production pattern that just screams, machine.
And that is the terrifying realization here. You can be useful, you can be accurate, and you can still be demonetized because your fingerprints look like a machine's.
Which brings us back to that core metric, interchangeability. The source has a very specific definition for this.
They do. And it's a brutal test. The definition is essentially this. If your channel can be swapped with 100 other channels and not a single viewer would notice the difference, you are interchangeable.
Your commodity.
You're a commodity. It's the replacement test. If I can replace you with a clone and nobody complains, you don't have a brand, you just have a template.
And YouTube's AI is now explicitly trained to spot these templates.
Yes. The source material outlines what it calls 7 signals that the detection algorithms are looking for. These are the repetitive elements that signal a lack of human intervention.
Okay, let's run through these. This is basically the checklist of what not to do.
The first few signals are all about rhythm. Same structure, same pacing, same cadence.
So the overall feel of the video.
Exactly. Then it gets more specific. Same emotional arc, same
Yeah.
visuals, same voice. And the last one, the most important one, same storytelling logic.
Hold on. How does an algorithm detect an emotional arc?
Yeah.
That sounds advanced.
It's simpler than you might think. It's data density and sentiment analysis. Most AI scripts follow a perfect sine wave. Hook, exposition, conflict resolution. It's perfectly balanced.
Human storytelling is much messier than that.
Way messier. We might spend 5 minutes on a weird detail because we find it funny, then rush the ending. The machine is too perfect.
So its perfection is actually its defect. That's the paradox.
It is. And that same storytelling logic point, we see this with those viral hooks. You know, the one King Solomon was the richest man?
Oh, I think I've seen 50 versions of that exact video.
Right, because everyone is using the same prompt to generate the script. The AI spits out the same structure. The algorithm sees that syntax appearing across 5,000 channels at the same time and says, okay, this is a content farm.
And it shuts them all down.
Demonetize them all.
Yeah.
It's a feedback loop, a truly incestuous one.
How so?
Creators use AI to scrape viral videos. Then they spin the script and re-upload it. Then the next version of the AI scrapes that video to train itself.
So the content becomes a copy of a copy as a copy.
It's like photocopying a piece of paper until it's just a black smudge. And the thing is, AI is incredibly good at recognizing its own species. It knows the syntax of GPT-4 better than any human does.
This is so interesting because for the last 2 years, the guru economy has been screaming the exact opposite. Automate everything, faceless channels of the future, scale, scale, scale.
And for a brief window, that worked. It's the classic gold rush cycle. In the beginning, you could shovel gravel and find gold. But now, YouTube has refined the filter. They're looking for that farm-raised content.
The source compares it to salmon, which I think is a great analogy.
It's perfect. You have wild-caught salmon and you have farm-raised salmon. Farm-raised is consistent, it's abundant, it's cheap. But it's identical. It's pumped out in a factory.
And YouTube is the high-end restaurant saying, we only serve wild-caught.
Precisely. Because their customers, the advertisers, are paying wild-caught prices.
So if you're an operator listening to this, you're basically walking through a minefield. But the sources are very clear. This is not a total ban. There is an operational strategy that keeps you in the safe zone.
Yes. We need to distinguish between the allowed workflows and the disallowed workflows. Let's start with what gets you killed.
Okay, the red flags.
The biggest one is the fully automated pipeline, that dream that was sold from concept to completion without human intervention. That is now a death sentence for a channel.
The second one is script recycling.
Right. Taking a viral script, spinning it, re-uploading, the algorithm sees the narrative skeleton, it knows you didn't write it. And the third disallowed behavior is upload flooding.
This is the volume play. 20 videos a day.
Exactly. You're signaling to the system you have non-human production capabilities. Humans get tired. We need to sleep. If your channel behaves like a machine, it will be treated like one.
Okay, so that's the danger zone. What does the safe zone look like? Because you can still use AI.
Yes, you can. The allowed workflows focus on AI as an accelerant, not a creator. AI-assisted editing is fine, using tools to speed up technical tasks.
And human commentary.
That's a massive one. Adding your own interpretation or perspective to the research that maybe AI helped you gather. And finally, creative transformation. You can use the raw AI output, but you have to modify it significantly.
Let's define human commentary. Does that mean I have to show my face?
Not necessarily your face, but your perspective. Let's go back to that real estate example. If the AI just reads the zoning laws, that's interchangeable.
Okay.
But if a human voice comes in and says, now let me tell you about the time I almost lost my license because I messed this specific law up,
Wow.
that is human commentary.
It's the anecdote, the personal scar tissue.
Correct. AI has data. It doesn't have scar tissue. It doesn't have lived experience. If you add your experience to the data, you are safe. That's a creative transformation.
And the final requirement seems to be human judgment.
That is the one distinct variable. A human must shape the final outcome. If the machine shapes the outcome, you are interchangeable. If a human shapes it, you are distinct.
This all leads to the strategic response. If you're an operator and your workflow is built on this kind of efficiency, you have to pivot. The source outlines 3 major shifts in thinking. The first is assistant versus engine.
This is a huge mindset shift. Stop using AI as the engine of the channel. The engine has to be your concept, your unique perspective. AI is just the assistant.
So it can draft the email, but it can't send it.
Perfect way to put it. It can outline the script, but a human needs to go in there, break the perfect syntax, inject some personality, and actually revise the thing.
It's about breaking the perfection, really. AI writes too cleanly, it lacks the jagged edges of human thought.
Which leads right into the second shift. Breaking the template. You have to intentionally vary your pacing and structure. We see these viral templates like the King Solomon hook.
Right, everyone uses the same structure. It becomes a meme of itself.
It does, and the algorithm flags that structure. So the strategy is to invert it. If the viral template says to use a specific hook, you have to intentionally alter it. You have to zig when the data tells you to zag, just to prove you aren't a bot.
It's wild. We spent a decade trying to make everything look polished and professional. Now we have to intentionally rough it up to prove we're not robots.
It's the organic food phenomenon, right? The lumpy, misshapen tomato costs more than the perfect shiny one because the lumpy one is real.
And the third shift is the most sustainable long-term play. Brand as a moat.
In a world of infinite farm-raised content, brand is the only thing you have. And the source make a great point here for faceless channels. You don't have to show your actual face to build a brand.
They bring up Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, the Geico gecko. These are not humans, they're pixels. But they are distinct intellectual property. They are unique characters. A generic AI avatar is interchangeable. A specific character with a specific voice and personality, that is a brand.
You can't just swap Mickey Mouse with generic rat number 4 and expect the same result.
Exactly. Most AI channels are generic rat number 4. They use a generic avatar reading a generic script. If you build a real character, even a virtual one, you're building a moat.
The source also mentions the Patrick CC model, which I found really interesting as a hybrid approach.
Yes, it's a faceless channel that does music documentaries, but for maybe 3% of the runtime, he just cuts to a camera, shows himself, tells the audience to drink some water, establishes that a real person is making this.
And then cuts back to the documentary.
And that 3% is the proof of life. It establishes human provenance. It anchors the content.
It tells the viewer, and more importantly, the algorithm, I am here, I made this.
And that tiny signal is worth millions in revenue protection because it moves you from the content farm bucket straight into the creator bucket.
So this all comes down to leverage. For years, we were sold a version of leverage that was about lazy efficiency. Push a button, print money.
That window is slammed shut. The market reality is that YouTube is solving for advertiser trust. They cannot sell premium ads on indistinguishable slime.
The era of lazy leverage is over.
It is. The new leverage comes from using technology to amplify a distinct point of view, not to replace the need for having one in the first place.
It's a return to basic business principles. Scarcity has value. If your content can be generated by anyone with a $20 subscription, it has no scarcity.
Exactly. And this enforcement is just the market correcting itself. The anomaly wasn't the demonetization. The anomaly was that for a brief period, you could make $30,000 a month by copying and pasting text you didn't write. That was the glitch. And the glitch has been patched.
So if you are building a media asset today, the question you have to ask yourself is, well, it's pretty stark.
It is. The question is this. If your entire business model relies on stripping out humanity to maximize efficiency, are you actually building an asset? Or are you just training the system that will eventually replace you?